Have you ever wanted something so badly but kept convincing yourself that you weren't ready? Now, let's take a moment and think about what has been putting you off lately. Could it be pursuing a course of your choice but afraid that your parents might be disappointed in you? Could it be applying for a leadership role but afraid that you don't have enough skills or qualified for it? Could it even be the simplest of things, such as speaking to someone but didn't know what to say? I believe we've all gone through these moments before. A moment that we wanted to take the first step, but something stopped us. So today, I want to ask you all one simple question. What exactly are we waiting for? Growing up, we were taught that confidence comes first. We tell ourselves, I'll speak when I'm more confident. I'll apply when I'm more qualified. And I'll be away and I'll be outside if I can chase my dreams when I'm ready. As a medical student, I find it very fascinating. The brain loves certainty. It treats uncertainty as a threat or danger. But nowadays, we treat uncertainty as something else. For instance, giving your first speech, giving your first presentation, walking to school for the very first time, or even applying for a scholarship in the future. This is your brain on uncertainty. It is noticed that your brain adapts to it very differently. Moving on to this scenario itself. So, what do you guys look here? What do you guys think this is? This is a kid riding a bicycle for the very first time, and this is a kid falling from a bicycle for the very first time. So, we've all had those moments before. A moment that we wanted to take our very first ride. However, the very first time wasn't graceful for most of us. We wobbled, we fell, maybe we even wanted to give up. Maybe we even scraped our knees. But no one expected us to be good on the very first try. Instead, everyone expected us to struggle. Putting this in a different scenario, what do you guys think this is? A kid walking to school. So putting it in a different perspective, walking to school for the very first time. You didn't know where your classroom was. You didn't know who was going to sit beside you. You'd wondered even if you make any friends. So, by going to school alone, thinking about this situation a year later, you'll walk to school without even thinking twice. You walk through the gates without even thinking twice. So what changed? The school didn't change. The classroom didn't change. You changed. And not because suddenly somebody gave you confidence, but because you walked to school every single day. You became a little bit familiar to a place that was once uncomfortable. So, learning about all of this, I have implemented it into my own life. Being accepted to RCSI in Dublin, Ireland was one of the most ecstatic feelings that I've ever gone through. But truthfully, I was also very nervous. It was the first time I was moving away from home. And we're not talking about within the country. We're talking about thousands of kilometers away. So, and by the way, I was leaving my family, my friends, and everything that felt familiar to me. It was going to be very, very uncomfortable. I remembered walking through a departure gate, and I thought to myself, this isn't a holiday. This is going to be my new home now. And I remembered landing in Dublin. The skies were grey. The weather was freezing. Everyone spoke in an accent I barely could understand. And everything felt unfamiliar. I walked in, and I can't help but realize I was surrounded by incredibly bright people. I can't help but wonder, Am I good enough to be in medical school? What if I can't keep up? Medical school has that effect on you. It treats you. You look at people, and they seemed very, very confident. They were asking brilliant questions. They also seemed to know the answers. It's easy to look around and think they have probably gotten all of their lives figured out. But the thing is, they were just really, really good at hiding their uncertainties. So, the more time I spent there, the more I realized something. That confidence doesn't come before they succeeded. Curiosity did. Showing up did. Being able to ask questions did. And always being willing to make mistakes did. Every lesson, every lecture, every practical teaching, every challenges taught me something new. So, slowly, the place once felt intimidating was the place now I call home. Let me tell you about my second journey. So, I was doom scrolling in the middle of the night, looking up Instagram stories. Then, one Instagram post caught my eye. The Southeast and East Asian Society was having their annual general meeting in a few days. I really wanted to become a leader of an organization. However, I really didn't feel like I was qualified to do so. I stared at the application for days, and I kept wondering if I could do it. Sleepless nights thinking about it. I even asked my friends if they were applying for the same position, and all of them said yes. It got me thinking again. Maybe I would want to do it too. But something stopped me. I was afraid. So, I thought about it again. If I spend the rest of my time waiting for me to be completely ready, I will spend the rest of my life waiting. So, to make matters worse as well, a close friend of mine was applying for the same position. When I heard that, every insecurity I had became louder. I respected her. I admired her. She was more confident, more capable, more confident, as well as she was more experienced. I thought to myself again, if a person like that was running for the role, I should probably step aside. It was not for me. Then, I did apply. It was something very, very uncomfortable for me because it was the very first time I did something out of my own will. Election day finally came. She spoke before me, and she was really good. I took a deep breath, and I shared why I wanted to become a leader. I wasn't simply trying to be the best speaker in the room. I was simply trying to be myself. Medical school has taught me a lot of things. It has taught me something very, very valuable, which is sometimes you simply have to trust you'll grow into the person the opportunity requires you to become. So, looking back at this, I asked you all one simple question beforehand, and what was it? Have you ever wanted something so badly, but kept convincing yourself that you weren't ready? I wondered if you guys were thinking about that throughout this whole talk. So instead of asking yourselves, when am I going to feel ready? Maybe you should be asking yourself something more important. What is one small step that you can take today? Not tomorrow, not the next month, not even after you graduate, but today. Perhaps the life you've been waiting for isn't waiting for you to become more confident. Perhaps the life that you've been waiting for is simply waiting for you to have the courage to begin. Thank you.